think we're probably ready to just jump right in. Let's get to the video. Automations technology that I like. And we will be in the chat with you, and we will see you on the other side of the video. The video is exactly 30 minutes and I think 13 seconds. See you on the other side. How awesome is this? My favorite automation tools. Let's work smarter, not necessarily harder. Now, I do want to point out one caveat, is that I do test out a lot of different automation tools that I don't necessarily always entrench in my day-to-day operations. So some of the tools that we're going to be talking about today are the ones that I just see massive value in, maybe don't use as much myself, but some of them are tools that I definitely use each and every day. And the one tool that I think is the most valuable automation tool in my mind is TextExpander, and that is where we are going to start. We're going to start with a tool called TextExpander. Now, TextExpander is a tool that comes, it used to be just available on the Mac, but now it's available Mac and Windows. And it's not just me that loves it. Almost every productivity specialist I know loves TextExpander or some variation of TextExpander. There's a few tools that are similar, that are, say, Windows only based, but they're keyboard expansion tools or macro tools. Now, what TextExpander does is allows us to save a snippet. They call it a snippet, or a block of text, some information, and then to be able to place it into a document through a short keyboard shortcut. So we make up little sort of codes, and then that autofills documents for us. So you can use this for emails, you can use this for a variety of different things. Coders, people who write programming, love to use snippets of code for different pieces of repeating code that they use. There are lots of applications for using TextExpander. So let me show you how one of the ways that we use it, that I use it almost every day, and I like, if I can, use it every day. So almost every day we have new people signing up and supporting us on Patreon. So I get a message that they're supporting us on Patreon, and then I go into the chat and I want to say thank you for offering your support on Patreon. So I've created a TextExpander snippet that automatically fills in the thank you letter. I don't want the entire process to be automated. I want to see the person's name and I want to type their name myself, but I don't want to necessarily have to write out the thank you email each and every time. So this is my TextExpander snippet to thank $1 to $10 patrons at Patreon. So I type in, so you see I use a pound key to make it a unique key signature, Patreon, and as soon as I hit the end, you'll see the text expansion happen, and you hear a little blip as it does so. There it is. And this is, now this one here it's not quite finished because it's saying, hey, and it's got field 1 there. I want to put the person's name in. Let's say it's Dan. And see what happens is I've got his name repeating a little bit later in the email to personalize it a little bit more. Now that automatically fills that into all the different relevant fields. And now we've got this email or this message that's going to be sent that I was able to quickly personalize, but it only took me a few seconds to write. So it's a nice combination of personal touch, me actually typing in the person's name and paying attention and looking to their profile, but then not having to type out all of this information each time to thank them for signing up and supporting us on Patreon. This is a terrific way of a terrific example, I think, of how Patreon saves me time every single day and allows me to be a better communicator with my community. Now, how did this all work? Let's go in and let's take a look at TextExpander itself. Now, if you go to the TextExpander site, you can download it there. You can also buy it at the Apple Store if you're a Mac user. The pricing it's actually pretty reasonably priced. It's $3.33 a month if you buy it annually, so $35 or $38 on an annual subscription. Money well spent. Once you've installed it, it installs in your menu bar because it's a system-wide resource. It's available to you across all of your applications. It's actually multi-device. There's a version of TextExpander that you can install on your smartphone, and there's a special keyboard for it on your smartphone, and all of that as well. We won't dive into too much of that today. We don't have time. But on the desktop, when you open it up, you're basically brought into this database of all of your different snippets. That's what they call the little blocks of text that we use. And so let's just take a look at the one that we were just working on, which was the Patreon one. So I just type in, there we go. There it is. So this is the snippet that I created for Patreon. So you can see what you can do here is you've got an area here where you type in the text that you want to have. Now you can have variables in there. You can have little pieces of, you can have date information, time information, calculators, and I created something called fill-ins, which are these little data fields, which you can see right here. Fill name field 1. See, I could put another one in. Let's put another one in the bottom and you'll see what it looks like when it goes in. When I put this in, it's a field. It's got, if all of the times that I enter the same information in field 1, it's going to then replicate that information through all of the different instances. So there's where I repeat the person's name right there. So if I was to leave this in, it would put the person's name at the very bottom as well. So that's how you can automatically add extra information. Now, I used to use this when I did a radio show with our guest. I'd put in the date, I'd put in their name, and the name would be repeated through the field. The date that they were going to be on the radio show, they would automatically fill in through the email as well, as I was telling them what to expect and that, when to log in and all that sort of stuff and how to reach us. So you can use this in a lot of different ways to kind of create quasi emails that also have form type information built in. So you can create a snippet, which is just text like this. But if you take a look here in the type, if I click on the drop down on the type of the content, you can see that you can create scripts, JavaScripts, or you can also do full on formatted text, which would then include having photos if you wanted and stuff like that, if you're going to be creating richer replies or richer documents. So this can be used for social posts, for emails. Here's another way that I use it. I am going to create a new snippet, and for this webinar that we do today, I've always got registration pages for it, and that's the URL. Now, remembering that URL, almost impossible for me to do, but I can instead create a label saying Webinar Wednesday 27, and I'm going to make it, the abbreviation is hashtag WW27, so that now I could send anybody who wanted to have access to Webinar Wednesday 27, who I wanted to send that URL. If they're saying, how do I register, Steve? I just want to be able to type it in, or say I want to put it in to a social post or a tweet. I can then save it like this by adding this hashtag or this keyboard shortcut. And now anytime I type this into anything else, it's just got to update and sync. But once that's done, anytime I type in # WW27, it will autofill that URL. So you can use it for temporary things like URLs that are just for something that for an upcoming event, or for more permanent things, the way that we use it for all of our different email replies to our patrons, etc. So as you can see, I use them. I've got literally dozens of different TextExpander snippets. They are, in my mind, it's the first tool that I install always on my computer. TextExpander, that is number one. Now, before we leave this topic of TextExpanders, TextExpander works system-wide. It works in all of your different applications. It works with everything. There are also similar tools that are application-specific, and I'm mostly thinking of email. So, for example, within Google, within Gmail, you have something in there. If you turn it on in your labs, you actually have to go into, I believe you have to go into labs. Let me just go into our settings. And in the settings, there's this area called labs. Let's just close this down. And in the labs, yes. In the labs, one of the very first lab you see, or very first additional feature you see. Now, labs are kind of not fully supported implementations of technology within Gmail. And so we use labs all the time. There's a lot of different labs we use, but this is where they roll it out before they roll it into the main tool. Or sometimes people just don't want these additional features in the tool. But this one here is called canned responses. You see I have it enabled. What canned responses allow us to do is to take an email and then to take a text string. And so if you go in, we'll go into the subject line here, to take a text string and go in here and autofill. It's not quite as automatic as the keyboard shortcuts that we have is in the if this then that. But for example, here for this email, I've got this resource page of all of the different tools we use when we for creating video. And it's something that people ask for a lot. So I've copied it, saved it as a canned response, and now I can autofill it. Oh, I should have autofilled it at the top. Let me do it again. And go autofill, canned responses. So for things like technical support answers or emails that you reply to a lot, you can automatically fill them in or save them as a canned response. It's sort of like having them on your clipboard, having a multi-clipboard in your system, but it's specific to a certain tool. In this case, these snippets or canned responses are specific to Gmail. So that is another way that you can save yourself a lot of time when you have responses that you're going to want to use over and over again. Rather than typing them all out, you can very quickly insert them into an email using canned responses. And while we're talking about Google, and while we are in our browser, you can also use some form filling tools. If you go into Preferences in Chrome and you click on More, Advanced, in there you'll find, and you've probably noticed this before, that there's a lot of different autofill features that are increasingly happening within Google Chrome, or within actually all the web browsers. So you can actually have it automatically fill in a form, like with your address, your postal code, that sort of stuff. And you can even also manage in the autofill, you can also have credit card information if you choose. So this is a way to save you a lot of time when you're filling out regular forms online, shipping information, that sort of stuff. Auto forms is another way to automatically save you time, and it's another one of those automatic processes that could save you some cycles on a daily basis. So those are kind of 3 different text areas that we have. And actually, we should have probably added a 4th, which we've talked about a lot in the past, which is using a password manager, like a LastPass or a 1Password, to help you automate the process of managing your passwords. But TextExpander, canned responses in Gmail, form autofill in all of your web browsers, and then a password tool like LastPass are all great options for helping you manage the text side of your life. Now, the next thing I want to show you is if this, then that. IFTTT. Now, IFTTT is a free tool that combines services. And IFTTT is shorthand for if this, then that, which is a kind of a programming term. And what happens with if this, then that, or IFTTT, is we typically deal with our online services. So if this happens in Gmail, or if this happens in my calendar, then I want notification or that to happen over in this application. So what IFTTT does is it creates those linkages between our different applications. If you need to know more, you can click on the Discover, which if you go to IFTTT, and they'll walk you through some of the different tools that they have. Now, they call the connections, they call the little pieces of code that connect our 2 services applets. And you can create your own, or you can customize ones that, or modify ones that other people have created to work for you. And you can see, you get an idea, because each one kind of has a little description of what it does. Automatically get a weekly vocabulary list of Wikipedia words of the day in your email. So if you open this, you put in your email address, you give it permission, it'll start sending that to you on a daily basis. Maybe a better way to kind of figure out exactly what it might do is by clicking on the search, and there we see some of the different recommended and some of the kind of applications that they've got. Look at this. They've got ones for nonprofits, for lighting. See, if this and that links services. So increasingly, we're starting to see home automation services, things like the Philips Hue or the Amazon Alexa being added to the toolkit. I wonder if mine is. I just bought the Google Home. Let's see if Google Home is here. Yep. Look at this. We've got all these different connections and all these different things that you can do for Google Home. Isn't that cool? I will have to take a look through those myself. But for you, you might not be interested in Google Home. So if we just take a look at the services, you know what we should start with? We should start with something in Evernote, because we do so much on Evernote. And Evernote really has some good connections. So here's all the different little applets that you can do. Save a receipt to Evernote. Save archived items in Pocket to Evernote. Add a new note. Back up your Facebook status updates to Evernote. So every time you make a Facebook status update, back it up to Evernote. So you've got a history. And look at how many times they've been used. It's been used 21,000 different people have installed this particular little applet in order to make it work for them. How do the applets work? Well, let me go in. I'll show you one that I just created today to show you how they work. And I created an Apple Watch search. It took me about 4 minutes to do, and this is what happens with it. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to take a look at and configure it. There. Let's go in and let's edit it. Let's see how it works. So I'm going to click on edit. Now, when you go to create it, if this then that works, just basically it's a sequence. If this happens, then we want the next thing to happen, the next result. And it can be a series of results. But so the first is called the trigger. That's the if. So what I did was I clicked on here and I said I started to type in Craigslist. It recognized Craigslist or a classified ad, and it started the field out. All I did was I copied and pasted the search that I'm using in Craigslist. I'm going to go over to Craigslist. This is when you go into Craigslist and you search for something. I said Apple Watch Series 1, and this is the URL that Apple or that Craigslist uses to search for this. So I took that and I pasted it in here. Then what I did, the action is send yourself an email. And you've got all different sorts of options there, but you will have all sorts of options as you go to do it. But I said, send myself an email every time this happens. And then it takes and it pulls all of the content from the listing and it sends it to me. And then I gave it a name and saved it. And that was all that it took to create this applet. Once you've done that, you have to turn it on. So you have to go into the actual applet and you have to enable it, because what it is it's basically dormant until you activate it. But once you turn it on, it's now running. So anytime anybody posts a new ad for an Apple Series 1 watch, I'll get an email. I actually use this to buy my engagement ring to find because there was a specific ring that my fiance wanted, and I wanted to buy a used one for a variety of different reasons, not just because I'm cheap, but maybe I'll go into it in an editorial space sometime. But it was a rare ring, but it was made by a certain manufacturer, which we could recognize, so I could actually do a search. And over the course of a year and a half, 3 or 4 of them came up, and the right one actually came up in that list. Really a rare, something that I wouldn't go into Craigslist every day and search for because it's very seldom coming up. But when it did come up, I wanted to know about it. So that gives you an idea of where if this, then that really works. Now, if this, then that has a commercial cousin. It's not really related, but Zapier is another tool which is a little more commercially built for business. If this, then that, a little bit more kind of open source, not really the same business model as Zapier, which charges more, but Zapier does the same type of stuff, but it does heavy and deep integration into tools like Infusionsoft and kind of higher end business tools. This is more for the social and public space, whereas Zapier is more for the consumer commercial space. But that is a terrific example of the sorts of things you can do with automation. Now, the next one I'm going to show you it's called Book Like a Boss. And it's just the latest of dozens of different automatic scheduling tools that allow you to create a landing page that people can go to schedule time with you. We waste so much time trying to coordinate our schedule for meetings with people. And if you're a person that does a lot of business and sales calls and that sort of stuff, actually coordinating the times that you get an opportunity to meet with or talk to people, you know what a time vampire that is. So Book Like a Boss is similar to tools like Calendly is a very popular one that I like a lot. And there's a whole variety of these. But they're kind of recently launched and they had a really good launch sale. And I bought it. I think, a lifetime license or a fixed price for it. Because I liked the interface. I liked how clean it was. And basically, it's a newcomer into the space, but they seem to have taken everything everybody else was doing, what they did well, and lost what they didn't do well. And so it's a good option. There are other great options, and I'm sure that there's people posting right now some of the different good options that they have. But this is what Book Like a Boss looks like. It's very similar. If you want to book a meeting with me, I'll send you a link to this landing page, and you can go and you can select a time to have a meeting with me. You enter your name, email, address, and the message, and then you can book me. And I can choose whether to have you able to book me automatically or if I have to give permission for that booking to happen. So lots of control over that, but it completely eliminates the back and forth of, are you available Thursday? What about 2 o'clock? No, I got an appointment at 2 o'clock. That's the front end that people see. The back end that we see looks like this, and it's very, very customizable, where you can go in and you can set everything from how your page looks, how your landing page looks. You can add custom information. You can add all sorts of different types of integrations with actually, I haven't even looked at how many. Oh, with Google Analytics, Facebook tracking pixel. If you're trying to track, if you're trying to advertise for people to do, say, conference consultations with you, and you're trying to find leads that way, if you're a coach or something like that, you can choose what messages are sent back. But the heart of it is really this booking schedule, where you go through and you add times that you're available, which then syncs to your calendar. Whatever calendar you use, I use Google Calendar. It syncs to that calendar, and that allows you to manage all of the people that book you. And if you are charging for your time, they even have the ability for you to integrate it with payment engines, so people can prepay for your time if it's a consultation or an appointment of all different sorts. So far, I'm really impressed. It's a very elegant solution. When I first purchased or started looking at scheduling tools, I was overwhelmed. There were so many choices and so many out there. I'm not going to tell you for a second that I think Book Like a Boss is the best, but I do think that because they're a latecomer into the game, they've really looked at what everybody else does. Now they've got their pricing down, they've got their design down, and they seem to have their feature set down. Other major contenders are people like Calendly, and I'm sure there's a lot of other ones listed there. The key to these tools is making sure that it really works for you and integrates for you. But this automated tool, if you're a person that books a lot of meetings, will save you so much time that they are worth the investment of your time and energy to set them up properly. They're one of those automation tools that just keep on benefiting you the longer that you use them. Now, speaking of scheduling, Doodle is sort of like Book Like a Boss and Calendly, but it's more designed for groups. And here's how it works. You know how if you've got 5 buddies that you're trying to get together for lunch and you can't decide time. Here we have another email sequence that will go on for ages as you try and figure out when and where you guys are going to meet for lunch. So what you can do with Doodle is you can schedule an event and you can create an event. And this is the free version. And it does more in the, it's a new one. So it's going to be dinner is going to be the thing. Add a location. I'm going to say Earl's. There we go. Earl's Restaurant in Richmond, BC. Add a note. Let me know. Okay, so you create the event, and then what you do is you choose multiple dates. So let's go to the next month. Let's say it can be here, 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 or here, right? Add times. I'm going to add times. I'm going to say start at 5 p.m. Add more times. I'm just going to add the one. I don't want to make it overly difficult. Continue. They've actually improved the interface quite a bit. It's Steve. And okay. So now we set up the event. Now, what you do is you can invite them by sharing the link or by email, and you put the email invitations in, and what they get is they say when they are available. So they'll get this link. So let's just take a look at what the link looks like. I'm going to copy that. So what they're going to see is this. It's a poll, basically a poll that they've created. Oh, they've really improved the schedule. I haven't used this for a while. So I just say, you're going to come to dinner. I'm going to put in Steve, and I'm going to say, can I add a new person? I guess I can't add somebody. So it's because it knows that it's me. But you say when you are available, and then you say done. And so I will get back then notification of all of the different individuals and what time they're available, so that once everybody's filled out the poll, we can then hopefully find consensus or find where the majority are available, and that's what we're going to set as the time to meet. Now, you can use this for a lot of different purposes beyond just meeting for lunch. You can use this, you can give people options for your team options for what's the best time to have meetings. There's a lot of different ways to use it. They're free and paid plans, but this simple polling, really polling based on availability, although you can use it in some other ways, is a time saver and an automation tool that can really, really streamline what can become massive time wasters as you're trying to schedule appointments and trying to get a small group of people together. It's often like herding cats, is it not? The last tool that I'm going to talk about today is Grammarly. And I've talked about Grammarly a lot in the past. And it sometimes, some people are kind of on board and some people aren't. Grammarly checks my spelling and a little bit with my grammar, but it doesn't just do it in word processing documents. It does it in all of my social platforms. So if I'm going into Twitter and I am about to make a post and I am creating a brand new tweet, Grammarly is a tool that's installed at the browser level here. It's installed in Chrome, and as I am typing, if I make a mistake, it flags it. There we go. So see, I made a couple of mistakes there. And so we'll actually, and see what I love about it is it gives me these quick rollover fixes, and it tells me in a little menu bar down below that I've made mistakes. And is this really an automation tool? I think it is, because what it does is I guess it kind of crosses between just automation and straight up productivity. But what it does is it streamlines the process of me creating this content and posting it, and reduces the amount of embarrassment. I still make plenty of mistakes, don't get me wrong, but it reduces dramatically the number of mistakes that I make. Now, a lot of people criticize you and say, well, you should just learn to spell properly and all those sorts of things. Well, when you're working at the speed of now, which is what we're all doing as we work in online, we're constantly replying to things, we're constantly changing, and our concentration isn't always 100%. Especially once you've written something, you're kind of getting to the send as opposed to proofing it and having that little red dot that flags you and the underline telling you that you've made the spelling mistake. Just causes you to pause, clean it up, fix it up. Takes it down a notch, slows you down, and makes sure that what you're communicating, you do want to communicate, and it's the way you want to communicate it. So Grammarly is a tool which I pay for the premium version of. It's got a lot of other features, but from this perspective here, I think the automatic, constant spell checking all the time, especially when I'm doing social activities, not real writing, but social activities, to me, makes it a tool that really resonates. Now, there are some other tools that I wanted to kind of touch on, or some other kind of areas. And the one that I do is similar to Grammarly. The one that I use an awful lot is I do use an awful lot of voice dictation now. And a lot of people don't realize just how robust dictation is on their computer. Now, I'm using a Mac, and I've got enhanced dictation enabled. So all I have to do is hit the function key twice, and then we'll see the little thing pop up. It takes a moment to load. Once it's loaded, I have access to pretty robust dictation in any application that I am using, period. The one caveat being it doesn't work in the Google app suite, Instead, Google has its own voice dictation system that's available to you there. But using voice dictation does save me a massive amount of time, period. I'll hit the function key again, and that stops it. And here is another place Grammarly comes in really useful, because I do like to spell check, and it's easy to make little mistakes as you do this. But dictation instead of typing saves me so much time. Now, remember I mentioned to you that that Google has its own dictation tool. Let me just close this down. If we go into Google Drive, and I just create a new Google document here, if you go under your tools, you can start voice typing. You enable it by clicking on it, and it works, as far as I can tell, just as well as the Apple services work, but it's now working in your Google suite of tools, period. If I tried to enable Apple's voice dictation in this window, it would not work, period. So there it is. Dictation is the last of the automation services, having somebody automatically transcribe for you. You don't have to call a secretary in anymore to take a letter, but instead Apple's operating system or Google will do your voice dictation. Something that, if you haven't started to use, you might consider. It is you know what it is about dictation, though, is it takes you a little while to turn your head around from typing to thinking, speaking. It's a different skill set. It's a different thought process. And you might find it a little bit cumbersome at the beginning, but it will quickly get better for you. And with that, I think that we have reached the, I did want to mention to you a few other things. Let me just get into that. And that is, if you take a look in your accounting software, if you're using QuickBooks or any of those sorts of tools, there are lots of automated billing tools and invoicing tools that will help you out an awful lot as far as automating processes in the entire accounting world. You can do an awful lot of automation in. As well, setting up automatic backup, so you don't have to manually back up your computer. Setting up an automated system that automatically does both your local and online backup is a great way to do things. And finally, It's not a tool that I use, but I know Brooks Duncan uses a lot. So if you check out his website, he's got lots of demos when he talks about it. But a filing tool, a tool that automatically takes whatever happens in a folder and applies universal things to a folder, such as dates or things like that. And it's a tool called Hazel that he uses, which I think is well worth checking out. But that's an overview of some of the tools that I consider to be most valuable for automation. Looking forward to hearing what you have to say as we get into the Q&A. Okay, I do believe I am back, and then we lost Jen. She had a connection issue. Sorry about the end of the video. So there was two things that happened there at the end. One is I had an editing error where I left that slate up too long in the video, which I will fix. But the other thing is the mic cutting out. I figured out what's happened there is when the dictation kicked in, the dictation engine took over the audio, and so that's why it cut out for the video, if that makes sense. So it wasn't your computers that was, or the feed that was causing the trouble. It was that we had a slight issue with the audio part, with the just the technique of doing dictation and doing a screencast recording isn't going to allow the audio to come through, if that makes sense. So
kind of like when you text message and you're listening to your iMusic, the iMusic shuts off.
It'll block it. It'll block it. Exactly. That's just exactly what it is. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick idea of what's coming up. Let's just go screen share here for just a moment and give you an idea. I think this is the plan. It might change. Your email will tell you. But we're going to do a kind of a pre-release of our new Evernote Made Easy course. So for those of you that have been around for a long time, you know that we do an awful lot on Evernote. And so we are going to be doing a new release, the third version of Evernote Made Easy, which is kind of one of our flagship courses. So we're going to be talking about Evernote and doing the prep webinar that we're going to be doing, that we're going to be delivering to the public in the next couple of weeks. But we'll do an early bird version for our community here that joins us each week on Webinar Wednesday. Now, remember, this replay of this particular video, of this particular the automation tools, is good for 48 hours. It's going to take me a few hours to get it up. I'm going to fix as much as I can that video. I'm going to remove that irritating banner from it. So it's going to take me a little bit of extra time to get this video up on YouTube, but it'll be up for 48 hours so you can share it with your friends or you can review it should you choose to. Now, if after that you want to see it, well, all of our webinar replays are available to our patrons. We've got tremendous support from this community. Here's kind of how the business side of the Dottotech brand works. Is we produce as much free and compelling content as we can. We listen to what you're interested in, and we try and create great webinars like this one this week that serves you and serves and helps to kind of move the ball farther downfield for you. We talk about productivity, we talk about social marketing, online video. We cover all of these different aspects. Webinars, we cover them all. Now, what happens is we make all of these Webinar Wednesdays available for free for 48 hours and free live. And then afterwards, we retain the replay, but we hold it for the benefit of our patrons at Patreon. Now, these are people who, many of you are our patrons, and we thank you very much. For $10 a month, you get access. You support the Dottotech community. It's how we fund our ongoing efforts. We have over 600 of you now that are in the community, which we are so appreciative of. But you get access to all of the webinar replays and several other perks as well. For your ongoing support and patronage at Patreon. And you go to patreon.com/Dottotech, and that's where you find us and you get the other information. Now, there are some other perks that are involved, and I'm going to tell you this is the last time that we're going to bring this up because this is the last webinar of July. Starting August 1st, we're changing this one perk. Currently, you can get access to our Evernote Made Easy course as a perk. We've made this a perk for well over a year. We've been giving it to our patrons. But since we're releasing a new version of this course, I've decided to pull it out of the out of Patreon, and we've got so much value now with the Webinar Wednesday archives. This is, I think, the 27th webinar that we've delivered of this style, and so there's so much value there that we think that there's good value there now. And so we're pulling Evernote Made Easy from it. Now, everybody who is an existing customer of Evernote Made Easy or an existing patron, they get access to the upgrade for free. And anybody who signs up now will get access to the upgraded one for free in August when we release the new version. But we're raising the price on the new version, and we're going to be pulling it. So this is the last opportunity that you folks have to sign up on Patreon, or before August 1st. to sign up for Patreon and get access to the Evernote Made Easy course. You will all get access to the Webinar Wednesday archives, of course, and you also get 50% off on all of our courses. As well, if we see you in person, we're happy to share a hug with you. That speaks for the entire team. And just so you know, how Patreon works is it's really a community funding. It's a community funding site which you support a content creator like Dottotech, and all of the funds that we receive don't just go to me, Steve Dotto, but it goes to our team, and it supports Jen, and it supports April, and it supports all the rest of the people who go to produce Dottotech. So all of the funds that come in are spent on people, not on anything else. It's basically, it supports our team. So I love the fact that our community supports our team, and we are here because of you. And we're always, of course, listening to and hoping for better ideas and feedback from our Patreon community. So anybody new joining up this week, thank you very much. And you, of course, get access to get the last people in to get access to Evernote Made Easy. So there's probably be a flurry. That's good. Okay. Well, we've lost Jen. It's just you and me, April.
All right.
Okay. So let's get to the Q&A. Let's bring it up here. Let's go to the chat. Okay. So do you want to read off the questions?
Sure. Reba is asking, does TextExpander work on the PC?
Yes, the current version of TextExpander, but a year ago they released a cross-platform version. And the cool thing that I didn't mention is it's a cloud service, so all of your snippets are stored in the cloud. So if you have a notebook, a desktop, and even a smartphone, the snippets that you create go across to all of the other devices. As well, if you have a Windows and a Mac, your snippets also cross over in the cross-platform side. So yeah, it's completely cross-platform and it's cloud-based. So you've got, when you install TextExpander or a similar tool, I think Phrase Express, and there's a few other, Breevely is another one. But when you install a TextExpander tool like TextExpander, it is cross-platform and kind of ubiquitous. It's your snippets are available in multiple platforms.
Okay. Stuart is asking, hey, big guy, you may mention this, but can you use I believe it's TextExpander in your Outlook or CRM tools?
Yes, you can use it. Because it's system level, it can go anywhere that you could copy and paste something, TextExpander will work.
Okay. Our friend Kim is asking, do you keep a key of the shortcuts or how do you remember them?
That's a challenge. So remembering the shortcuts, and I always use the pound key, the hashtag key or the number sign to start all of my shortcuts. And that's just the convention that I've decided on. Some of them are easy to remember that you use on an ongoing basis. Other times you just have to pop open because it's available in your menu bar. You just click on the menu bar and you start typing in the, kind of what you're looking for, and it'll bring it up. So you don't necessarily have to keep a key anywhere because you've always got quick access to it from the screen. But you'll quickly remember the most important ones, and it's the temporary ones that you create that are just for for that you're only going to be using for a week or you only use rarely that it's a challenge for. But the app itself is very quick to find it, and you just click on it in the menu bar.
Okay. David is asking, is GoodNote a PC only thing?
GoodNotes is something that some of the people on the call were talking about, and it's a digital ink product that's primarily for the iPad, as far as I know. And it sounds like teachers marking up documents are doing it in GoodNotes. So it sounds like a markup tool more than anything. It's not one that I'm familiar with. Maybe somebody will clarify. But I know it's an iOS device product. I don't know where else it runs.
Okay. Does canned response work in the TO field? I'm not sure.
Canned responses, no. The to field, the canned responses wouldn't work. Although like TextExpander will.
Fields.
But more often than not, your autofill, if you've got autofill turned on, is going to be what you're going to use in your to field. And if you've got a group of people that you regularly send it to, you should create mail lists. And that way you just type in the list name and then everybody's address automatically gets filled in. And that's a good way that you can easily then suppress everybody's email address so they don't see each other's email address when you send it.
Okay. Katie's asking, how do you blur on your video? I know it can be done through YouTube, but I prefer to do it in Editor. Do you use ScreenFlow?
It's hard in YouTube. We use ScreenFlow, and either ScreenFlow or Camtasia has great blurring capabilities, so you can blur out private information when you're doing a screencast.
All right. Val's asking, which Apple Watch did you buy? Series 1 or 2?
Bought the Series 1 because I'm relatively cheap. And I didn't really need a Series 2. You know what? It came down. I find them kind of large. And the Series 2 is a little bit fatter. And I'm all about being svelte. So I went with the Series 1. It seemed to do everything I wanted.
Oh, that's funny.
I haven't even configured it yet. So I'll be doing that after I fix that darn video that I messed up.
Well, I saw somebody was saying take off the breathe part of it. My husband uses it. It tells him to breathe all the time. Breathe. Yeah. Can you create a template in Doodle?
I don't know.
All right.
Maybe somebody can answer that. I see somebody's asking me to show the engagement ring. I don't have it on me. Shannon's wearing it.
That's a good thing. Have you ever explored white smoke as an alternative to Grammarly?
No. We'll take a look at it though.
David is saying, I stopped using Grammarly because it seemed to cause too many websites to bog down to the point of unusability. Has that improved?
I don't know if it's improved or not for you. I've never noticed it to be an issue.
Okay. I've seen loads of your YouTube videos on social media dashboards, examples Hootsuite, Buffer, and Meet Edgar. Do you use a blend of a few of them or focus just on one? Currently, Stuart's using a few.
Yeah, I do use a few right now. The two that we use now are Agora Pulse and Buffer. But I just had a demo yesterday with the new version of Agora Pulse, which is soon to come out, and it's probably going to do everything for us. And actually, I was going to show it a little bit today because there's some wonderful automation tools for posting to social media, but the demo was getting a little bit long already. So we're going to be talking about Agora Pulse in a little bit in the near future. But the new version, and it's due. They've had the current version out for about a year. But the strength of Agora Pulse is it manages your social conversations, and that's where it's always been for us. And so I've always used it as a conversation tool. And then for our scheduling other people's content, or OPC, and we've got a webinar on this. We show you how to do this in one of our previous webinars. We use Buffer, and I use a combination of Buffer and BuzzSumo to find content. And so that's the combination that we've used. We've got, if you are a patron, look for our webinar when we talk about how we do our social publishing, and we've got a pretty good system. We're probably going to modify that so that we're just using Agora Pulse in about a month.
Okay. Rose is asking, so you were talking about the voice dictation. Is that function available on iPad Pro? Do you know?
Yeah, all of your iPads and smartphones have good dictation. Somebody was asking whether it trains the way Dragon dictates. No, Apple's and Microsoft, as far as I know, they've pretty much got their dictation locked, and it's pretty good if you are a native English speaker, without North American. If you have an accent like a Scottish accent or an Irish accent, you have a lot more challenge. And a tool like Dragon Dictates becomes a lot more valuable because you train it and you would roll it to your own voice. If you've got a very neutral accent, by North American standard neutral, then you're going to be good with the built-in system tools.
Okay. JL is asking if you have a coaching package available where we can hire you for an hour or two and help set up a lot of these tools. Yeah,
as I mentioned, JL can drop us an email. We do a little bit of coaching. It's not what I'm really best at, but we might be able to help you out. And if not, I can certainly direct you to somebody that can. We've got a few friends, especially in the productivity space, that are wonderful coaches.
Okay. Skipper is asking, can you train it like Dragon? So
no, there's no training. Dragon has been around for a long time. It's a far more expensive product than free, but you can customize a lot more and you can train it. And it's good for medical and dental and things like that, where you've got some unique terms that might not be available in the other dictation packages.
Brooke Duncan, website, his profession. I see a lot of Brooke Duncans. I'll actually put his information in there.
Yeah, Brooks has got a lot of the stuff on this. Yeah.
All right. Hi, Steve. What's the best dictation software for PC on a scale of free to paid?
Well, I don't know. Dragon's the only one that I know, and I only use the built-in system tools, so I really can't comment on which one's better. I haven't tested them.
Okay. How is Book Like a Boss different from Calendly?
Book Like a Boss is just a little bit newer. It's a little bit fresher, a little bit less expensive. than Calendly. I do like the interface. I like the landing page, and I like how it just how it kind of comes together. And to be honest, it just came along at the right time. I was using a tool called Schedule Once, which I found a little bit cumbersome and getting a little bit expensive. And I wasn't using it all that much. And then an offer came through with the Book Like a Boss. They were just launching. They had some good reviews. I looked at the technology, and really, I liked, in this case, a latecomer to the market has the benefit of seeing what everybody else is doing right and wrong and kind of addressing that. And I get a feeling that's kind of what happened with Book Like a Boss. When I went through the offer that they gave, which was like half price and a fixed price for the future, I liked what I saw, and for our purposes, it seemed good. It's one of these cases where I don't know if it's the best tool, and neither will anybody know, because there are so many good options in this automatic scheduling marketplace. I have very neutral needs as far as just basically occasionally booking some consulting with me, or we'll do a webinar where we offer some free consultation. So we'll use it from that perspective, or the odd meeting. I'm not a sales guy that's booking tons of meetings. I'm not looking at a scheduling tool because I'm a dental hygienist that's booking people in, or anything that's kind of more advanced. I don't collect money in it. Although it might scale up into that space, we don't push it that hard. So there's a big range of these scheduling products that you can look at. I just happen to like what I saw with Book Like a Boss. That's why I chose it. I don't think it's better than Calendly, but it looks like it's going to be good for us.
Yeah, I think I paid $97 for the year for it.
It was really reasonably priced. That's why I bought it.
Yeah. All right. Just curious whether you see Doodle useful with Blab or Calendly.
Do I see what?
Is the Doodle app, do you feel like that's useful with using Blab? Blab no longer exists, or Calendly?
Oh, people actually, it's a Book Like a Boss is Blab. It's not, they're not talking about the, they're not talking about the old social network, the broadcast network. That threw me off the first time I saw it too, April. I think that where Doodle still really fits is that group booking thing where you've got 8 people that you're trying to herd like cats, and you're trying to find a common time, and you don't want that massively long, confusing email thread. Just say, okay, tell us when you're available, and we'll figure out the time that most of us are available. That's where I still think Doodle is very strong. And none of the other tools, I don't think, do that polling feature that is built into Doodle, which is where I think its value lies. And you can do that for free with it.
Okay. Can you use TextExpander on mobile devices?
Yes, but it's a little bit cumbersome. It's not quite as intuitive as it is on the desktop, because you have to use the TextExpander keyboard, and only certain applications are aware of TextExpander, and we'll see it. So it's going to be based on, you have to have the keyboard loaded, so you have to have a separate keyboard loaded on your device, and the application has to be aware of it. So it's not ubiquitous the way it is in your desktop.
Okay. Can Doodle be used with organizing Google Hangouts?
I imagine so.
Let's see. When using Constant Contact, I found problems with Grammarly. It inserts so much of its own HTML code that Gmail clips the Constant Contact emails. I guess it's not really a question so much as a statement. Yeah,
it could be.
And I think a lot of times on those, just on those softwares, sometimes you have to clear the styles. Yeah. Because if you take it over, it messes up the text. Yeah. Not a word about Keyboard Maestro. Any thoughts on that?
No, it's just not a tool that I've used. I mean, once I got into using TextExpander, it just became, this is one of those productivity tools that I really need and I really use. So once I found TextExpander and started to implement it, I didn't spend time installing others and spend time exploring others. But Keyboard Maestro might be, I've heard good things, so it might be a good option.
Okay. How is Doodle different from When is Good?
I don't know. I don't know when is good.
Okay. Why promote Hazel versus Evernote automation?
Well, Hazel's a very different type of product, and I am not the best person to demo it because it's not one that I use every day. But if you check out Brooks Duncan's site, Brooks uses it a lot. we've incorporated a lot about Hazel in our Paperless Office Made Easy course, which is where I know most about it. But it's especially great for administrative type functions where you're scanning in a bunch of documents and you want to automatically add dates to those documents for filing and archiving purposes and that sort of stuff. So Hazel works great in file automation, if that makes sense.
All right, and it looks like actually we're at the end of questions here. I'm just looking through some of the chat. Let's see.
I see John's pointed out that Dragon Dictates is $300 on the Mac, which he just checked. That's good news to see.
You've had a lot of people comment today about your video publishing and how they haven't seen a lot of videos from you. And I said you were going to ramp back up in the fall. Maybe you can share a little.
The summertime, this summer, we've been concentrating on a couple of projects. And yeah, I'll just briefly just take a few moments. Yeah, we've got a few minutes left. And fill everybody in. Yeah, we have not published as many videos on YouTube of our normal demos. That's because the team that I have that produces those, we've been concentrating on a few projects. And it's summer, and Steve went and got himself in a musical. That's why my hair looks like it does right now. I'm doing Mary Poppins for the entire summer here in Vancouver in Summer Stock Theatre. And it's just taken a lot more of my energy than I thought it was going to. It's been a lot of work. Having said that, we're launching a brand new webinar product called Moneyball Webinars, where we've actually built a calculator that will predict how much money you can make from your online webinar launches. And we're just about to launch that and get that out the door. We've refreshed the Evernote course, and we're redesigning the website. So that took all of our creative team's energy, and I just didn't have the extra bandwidth to do videos during the summer. So we thought summer's a good time. We continue to do this, which we found to have the most community value, to do the monthly webinars. And so that's kind of what we've kept going. And our plan is in September to start and to revisit our publishing schedule for YouTube for our demos. And we'll probably be it'll probably be somewhat augmented. It'll probably be 3 videos a week. I don't think we'll be doing 4 or 5 the way we were doing before. But in September, we'll be back to a 3 video per week publishing schedule.
You have a few more questions. How to decide on shortcut abbreviations in a clean, organized fashion? Any suggestions?
That's really going to be your own convention. For me, it's just I don't have a great model. I look for as short a series of keystrokes as possible that are unique, that I can remember, that I won't accidentally fill things in. So you don't want something where you actually, it becomes a word or it becomes a series of keystrokes. So that's why using a modifier like a pound key or the star or the ampersand in the shortcut really works. But really, it's something you're going to have to come up with yourself. For Patreon, I just put down the pound key, the dollar value that people are supporting us at, and then the word Patreon, and it works like a charm. Okay. Oh, Luke is back. Jen's back just in time for us to sign off.
Looked like there was tell us about your screens. John would like to know about the lovely screens. I think it was the green screens, but I put them in the chat. The link to that. And then there was a question about Hazel versus, hold on, I'm just looking. Went down. It's in the chat. Hazel for Windows. Do you have any Hazel for Windows? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Brooks is the guy to look for that. Okay. Just look for his posts on that. Reba's asking if she bought the Evernote Made Easy course. You'll be automatically updated to the new one when it comes out. We'll be sending out a mass email to everybody who is ever enrolled. That's one of the things we do on Dottotech is once you've purchased a course, you have lifetime access to that course. So everybody that it was a part of Evernote Made Easy will get it. So Reba, you will be getting notification once it's ready for the public.
All right. I think we are at the end. I'm going to put in Brooks' information now.
Good stuff. So look for the replay email, folks. I'll include a little bit of a resource thing. We've got a couple of affiliate links for a couple of the products that we mentioned. So we'll include those and send that out to you with the email, which will have the webinar replay. It'll take us a little while until we have the replay online, just because I'm going to have to do some editing. Val's asked, minimum Patreon support level was with some standard benefits is $10 a month. Yeah, it's really the only benefit level that we have for most people. It's $10 a month, and then you get access to, right now you get Evernote Made Easy, you get the webinar replays, and you get 50% off on all of our premium courses. And our premium courses are typically $500, so that's a substantial saving. That's talking about our screencasting or our webinar courses, our higher end courses there. Yeah.
And somebody had asked, that's a Patreon, I can't find it, but they have a problem accessing the Evernote course. You can just send an email to info@dottotech, and we'll get that.
We'll clean that. And John says, good luck in my new dramatic career. Actually, it's an old dramatic career. I used to do theater a lot. And doing the show this summer was because my oldest daughter and I have never done a show together. And she's a wonderful singer and a good dancer. And it was just the summer that kind of worked for us. So we're both in the cast together. We're both in the cast together of Mary Poppins, so we decided to do it as a family thing. So that's why we got back on stage, and it's fun, and it's an outdoor theater. It's like a Vancouver tradition. Anybody in Vancouver, come down and see us at Theater Under the Stars, or Theater Under the Stars. Yeah, that's good. So Naomi, welcome. Oh, I should take a look. Look at this. We've got a whole bunch. Katrina, welcome aboard. Naomi and Tracy, all of you, welcome as new patrons. Thank you very much. We're excited to bring you on board, and we hope that you really enjoy your stay with us on Patreon. With that, I should get Jen to try and say goodbye, because Jen is all messed up with her interwebs there. She's had just nothing but trouble today. But April, you've been rock solid, as usual.
Woohoo! Thank you.
And that's it. We kept it to an hour today. That is awesome. So, folks, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the summer. We will see you next week, probably for the Evernote webinar. Just checking here. Which part am I playing? Okay, no, I'm not Dick Van Dyke, and no, I am. I'm two roles in it. I play the Admiral Boom, who is the guy, Admiral Boom. He's always, banks, what are you doing? Like that. And I also play the chairman of the bank, which is quite a funny part. And he's a Scottish man, and he speaks like that, and he goes, running the bank, and so that's it. And I come on,
give us some more. You got to give him a little more roles. Come on.
Scotsman, I'm like this. I do the handlebar mustache, and for the Admiral, he's like this, and he's all crazy. There, see. Everybody's got it now. So now you know why the foliage has stayed for the summer. All right. I can't believe I did that. All right. Till next time, folks. We'll see you next week. Check for your email. Look for the replays. Looking forward to seeing you all again next week. Till next time. Have fun storming the castle.